Fife, and I'm going to go quickly through today's lesson. We're going to continue with compound sentences, but I wanted to review coordinating conjunctions with you. Coordinating conjunctions are those famous fanboys, and they are what you use when you're going to combine two independent clauses very specifically for the I, CI sentence type. Each of these fanboys or coordinating conjunctions has their own meaning. The one you choose to use has to be chosen because it conveys the right message. So just because you have two independent clauses doesn't mean you can just put a comma and a fanboy in the middle of them and make a connection that makes sense. You have to choose the one that fits the situation. So as a review, I'm going to discuss with you very quickly a rudimentary understanding of what each of these words means, of the 7 coordinating conjunctions when you use them in a sentence. Most of you don't need this because it's just automatic for you. You understand them. But for some of you, the compound sentence is a new structure, so I'm going to review what each of these mean. The word for can often be replaced with the word because in your mind. Unfortunately, because is not a coordinating conjunction, so you can't use it to link two independent clauses into a compound sentence. You can, however, use for. For sounds really sophisticated and formal. It is letting you know that there's a relationship between the first clause and the second clause, and usually that relationship is that the cause of the first clause is the effect of the second clause. And I'll review an example and see if you guys understand. The next one, and, is probably the most common coordinating conjunction, and that lets you know that the two ideas are equally important in both of those independent clauses. When you link two independent clauses with nor, it's because there's a negative in both of those independent clauses. So you introduce a negative choice in the beginning and then agree with a negative choice in the second part. I will show you an example of that as well. But shows contrast between the idea presented in the first clause of your compound sentence and the idea presented in the second. Yet does the same thing. It shows contrast. It's just like but, except that yet, nor, and for, those are 3 coordinating conjunctions that I think are less common, but very sophisticated in the way they sound. So if you can use them correctly, you're going to sound like you really know what you're talking about. Or, like nor, joins two ideas and lets you know that there is a choice, but in this case, both choices are agreeable. When you use nor, they're not choices that anyone seems to like, or gives you two choices that are both agreeable. Yet shows contrast, just like but shows contrast. Again, a little more sophisticated. And so links the cause of the first clause to the effect of the second. It kind of does the opposite as for. So even though they both are linking those two ideas, you could probably switch the order of the two clauses and switch the two conjunctions, so and for, and it would also make sense. Here we go. Here's some examples. For, we listened eagerly, for he brought news of our families. So I'm going to show you what I meant by you could switch the order. I'm going to use so. He brought news of our families, so we listened eagerly. Can you see how that makes sense? Because they're talking about cause and effect. When you use for, the effect comes first. So we listened eagerly because he brought news of the family. And I'm going to skip to the bottom where it says, so I was feeling hungry, so I made myself a sandwich. You could switch the direction of that one. I made myself a sandwich for I was feeling hungry. Can you see how those are giving you cause and effect? Just an idea. All right, moving on to and. She did not speak to anyone, and nobody spoke to her. That seems simple enough. Nor. I don't expect children to be rude, nor do I expect to be disobeyed. Okay, so do you see how both of those are negative? I don't expect. Don't introduces the first negative idea, and then the second one is also negative. But they rushed to the hospital, but they were too late. That sounds awful. Okay, they rushed to the hospital. Let's make it hopeful, but they were too late. The baby was born healthy moments before they arrived. Okay, now it's positive. They rushed to the hospital, but they were too late. Remember I said but and yet are very similar and interchangeable. So you could also say they rushed to the hospital, yet they were too late. Yet sounds a little more sophisticated. I will go shopping, or I will go camping. Unlike nor, both of those are agreeable choices. Can you see that? So even though they present the same kind of function by giving you two choices or two options, one is they have to be presented in a negative tone, and the other is more straightforward. The last example is yet. Kelly was a convicted criminal, yet many people admired him. Okay, remember, yet and but are interchangeable. So if you can't figure out how to use yet, think of the word but and put the word yet in the sentence instead. That might be helpful for you. Here is your assignment for some practice today. Today you're going to go to this website, and I will show you what I'm asking you to do there. It is called Quia, and there is some practice there for you to do 10 questions where you are choosing the correct coordinating conjunction. And the second thing I'm going to ask you to do is to complete the attached sheet, which has 10 sentences. And you also have to create some of your own sentences. I think I popped that in here. I did. Okay, so here it has 10 sentences. The first sentence, for example, says a group of hunters went to Africa, and you have to make that not just a simple sentence, but now you're going to add a comma and the coordinating conjunction and. See how it says I, comma, ci, and? So you could say a group of hunters went to Africa, comma, and were unable to capture any game, period. Next one, I, comma, ci, using the conjunction for. The stadium was filled to capacity, comma, for everyone wanted to see the popular act. Number 3 is I, semicolon, I. So you get to just do 2 independent clauses. The first one, hard work and extra effort are needed, semicolon, straight A's are difficult to earn. Okay, so you're going to do that for all 10 of those, and then you're going to create your own 5 sentences, and you get to pick whatever formula you want to use, as long as you can tell me what it is next to the number that you write the sentence. I'm going to pop onto that Quia quiz that I was telling you about. Here we go. It says, choose the correct conjunction to combine the clauses into a compound sentence. Here's our first one. Pumps work by pressure, comma, straws work the same way. And straws work the same way, but straws the same way, or straws. I'm going to say and. Check my answer. Ta-da! I got a point. Next one. Salt comes from the sea, comma, blank, ash comes from volcanoes. And ash comes from volcanoes. There we go. Okay, so you're going to do all 10 of those when you get to the end, and you have a score, whether it is a perfect 10 or not. You're going to take a picture of it, and you're going to submit it to Google Classroom, just like you're going to submit your compound sentence homework for today. Good luck, you guys. If you have any questions, you know you can message me. You can send me an email